Wow, we cut that off quick. Welcome, guys. Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We're going to take a look at that Somali scandal as the radio show gets set to begin. Also, Tucker Carlson's going to live in Qatar. I don't know what he's doing. This isn't the guy I met. This isn't the guy whose show I did. I don't know what this is all about. I know it's not interesting because it ain't. Not in the slightest. A lot to get to. The radio show is joining us. I got an aging room right here. Maduro to smoke. Let's go, producer Landon. The Somali scandal is bigger than we know. Bigger than we understand, and it doesn't matter how much people scream and yell about it. We are going to be people who should be discussing it, who are discussing it, and should be investigating it. There's a problem here. And the problem might be whether or not our immigration policies, our immigration thoughts are based on who is going to be a part of American society. It is imperative, in my view, that we do not take any group of people and label them as persona non grata. I don't feel that way about Somalis. I do feel that way about Islamists. And if we are going to say that somehow it is wrong to look at those coming from Islamic countries differently, well, no. It's the only rational course. Of course. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything going on over at TonyKatz.com. Appreciate it if you'd head on over there, subscribe, and be a part of it. Let's start with the basics. What is this entire scandal that is bigger than we know and worse than we think? This has to do with theft, just stealing by a group of people, either part of that Somali community in Minneapolis, Somali themselves or others, who saw the COVID money coming in and said, hey, I got an idea. And what they did was they made the claim that they were feeding children. There was a group called Feeding Our Future. There were a couple other groups. We're going to feed children. Well, how many children are you feeding? And we'll send you money to help you do that because, COVID has affected everybody. Well, lockdowns affected everybody, and certainly Minnesota, a progressive state, or not so progressive when we talk about how you grow a state, but progressive in their politics. They were engaged in real shutdowns. How many people are you feeding? Feeding Our Future? 18,000. Wow, you're feeding 18,000 children a month? That's something. No, a day. We meant a day. You're feeding 18,000 children every day? Yes, we are. Money, please. It's like Jenny Slate. What show is that from? I forget. It's not Parks and Recreation, is it? I forget what. Money, please. It's so great. And Minnesota said, here you go. And when Minnesota started getting an inkling, a whiff, a little bit of a hint, a little something, a little Joe Biden kind of, it smells like people. When that happened, the good people there who were involved in this theft, not a grift, theft, said, listen very carefully. You approve these groups for this funding or we're going to call you racists. And the government folk in Minnesota, so afraid of being called racist, they went along with it. You understand that this means that Governor Tim Walz went along with it. You have to understand that there are people associated with this, like the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, like the Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, who were in some way connected. They certainly knew the groups. They were there taking photos, at least Ilhan Omar was. So when the investigation takes place, all of those players need to be investigated. Stephen Miller called this possibly the largest fraud against Americans in history, which led to Ilhan Omar saying that, well, that's nice, but Stephen Miller, he's just a white nationalist.
Something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said on Thanksgiving Day. He posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people.
At that moment, Margaret Brennan of CBS News, who hosts Face the Nation, should have ended the interview and said, "Thank you, goodbye." You don't get to call Stephen Miller a white supremacist based on what? Based on what? A recognition that you're a bigot? Ilhan Omar, you are. Jews control Congress. It's all about the Benjamins. That was you, right? That was you who did those things. Now, do people come to the United States and recreate the horrors they came from? So I want to say for the record that I don't actually believe that part true. Here is one thing that I do believe, if we look at it honestly. If there is not a buy-in to how we do things, well, what does one expect? You're going to go with what you know. That's a very rational point of view, which of course brings us to what it is that we expect when people are a part of the nation. I had shared a part of this last week, and we had created a short out of it. If you follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz, it's done all sorts of views about the idea of assimilation. And you would have thought that I had engaged in the most barbaric talk the world had ever seen, which is not the case at all. I was discussing the idea of hyphenization, and I was discussing the idea of assimilation. This is what I said last week. If we are to agree that that is true, that the American left has no belief in assimilation, and we can see this in a myriad of ways, for example, the hyphenization of America. What the bloody heck is African American, Mexican American, Colombian American, Irish American? There's American, and that's it. The hyphen is an absolute problem because it creates separation as opposed to assimilation. I believe that is an accurate statement. The hyphen creates separation and not assimilation. And I had put this out in a post where I said, you can't have assimilation into American culture if everyone wants to talk about only where they are from. To which I had some people who I think aren't thinking clearly, well, what's American culture? And then someone said, well, Tony doesn't want St. Patrick's Day. Who doesn't want St. Patrick's Day? Admittedly, I don't want green beer, but I love corned beef and cabbage. These things are delightful. I want bars to be packed to be having a very good time. What kind of fool would say such a thing? Tony doesn't want St. Patrick's Day. I never said anything like that. I did say that hyphens are an issue because they are. I added Irish American, but I could add Jewish American. I can add Mexican American. All these things keep us from being American. American involves where you came from and a recognition of that where you are, this idea, this ideal is better. This place that we have created is indeed better. I think that's when we talk about assimilation, it isn't about forgetting where you came from. It's a recognition of where you're at and how fortunate you are to be there. Let's at least be clear. It's better here. If it was really better there, you would have stayed there. So when we see people coming to the United States who don't think that this is better, they think this is bad, they think this place owes them, and they are proactive in wanting its destruction, I think those are people telling us that they don't want to be Americans and we should oblige them. I'm saying that they don't pass the test. You're like, oh, whoa, 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 what test to be an American? What do you mean, what test to be an American? Do you believe in the destruction of the United States? How would it be possible for us to take in anybody who believes in the destruction of the United States? What is clear is that I'm not interested in labeling a whole group as you're all terrible when there are people who are part of this world in Minneapolis who haven't done anything wrong. And so I do have an objection to how President Trump has gone about discussing things. What I have noticed is that when we see a specific level of issue with not being interested in being part of the American society, the American fabric, that while we've seen it in groups from South America and Central America because of their progressive bona fides and their hatred of the United States, their hatred of Western culture, their Western civilization, their hatred that permeates. We see this from Islamic societies. The Islamist is not compatible with Western civilization. They're just not. They're not compatible with anything in Europe. They're not compatible with other Muslims. They're not. We need to be honest about this and clear about this. And maybe there should be some reticence regarding those nations that are Islamic nations. Well, Tony, you see now you're painting everybody with a broad brush because of their culture, their religion. No. And that's where the first part of this conversation is going to take place. When we talk about Islamists, we're not talking about a religion. We're talking about a political system. And it is incompatible with ours. And we have every right to say the answer is no. And I only have to look back to the Barbary pirates in order to be able to, I believe, make my case. That is about who we take into the nation. Maybe there is a moment proven that our kindness cannot be extended. That's a hard thing to say. And I won't lie, I feel weird saying it. Because what's the difference between that and someone says, well, really the people we can't allow into the country are Jews? I mean, what is the line there? What is the separation point in that? I got asked today, I did a radio interview with someone, and they were discussing how what they hear from young people, Zoomers, and I was like, oh, did we just use the term Zoomer? Gen Z, what we hear from Gen Z is number one, fix the economy, and number two, stop talking about Israel. What do you think, Tony? I was like, well, first, yeah, things need to be cheaper. And secondly, I'm a Zionist. I'll support Israel all I want, and I'll debate it with anybody. I don't actually care. But if somebody's more interested in what it's going to cost them for a gallon of gas as opposed to Israeli foreign policy, I get that. I get that. That makes perfect sense to me. I have to stop talking about what's happening from Islamists against a society that allows people to live freely? Hell no. No, not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. I think that we have to accept the fact that the conversation we're having is super heavy. That the people involved in the criminal activity in Minneapolis, man, they have to go to jail. And if they're not from the United States, if they're not American citizens, they have to be deported. And their families get deported, so be it. That's the crime. You were welcomed into the United States with open arms, and you said, how badly can we blank these people? How can we steal from them? How can we take advantage of their generosity? And when they notice, we will call them racist so they don't do anything about it. Then we have to investigate all of those elected officials who went along with the grift, the theft. Did they profit off of it? Did they profit monetarily off of it? Or Do they see a value in bankrupting the system? Do they see a value in bankrupting the system because they want the system to fail? I mean, we're getting into like Glenn Beck, Cloward Piven kind of conversations here. But it's true. I ask point blank of Ilhan Omar, are you disgusted by what you saw, and do you believe in investigations? No mention of Trump, no mention of Stephen Miller. Do you believe that people who are in the country on a level of permanence, but not necessarily citizens yet, should they be deported? If the answer is anything but absolutely, well, then what are we discussing here? Not every Somali did something wrong, guys. It's just not true. It's just not factual. But larger scale questions have to be asked. We should be a nation that welcomes people who want to live a better life and be a part of it. And by the way, bring the cool stuff with you. Love it. But when the nation is primarily Islamic, maybe we have to ask a different question. Because the data, whether it's in our own country or whether it's in Europe, is in. And that's rough. But if we don't have this rough talk, this rough conversation, how are we going to come to a determination? And do it without losing our souls as Americans. Let's start here. The investigations have to happen, and anybody involved can't win re-election. Anybody involved has to go to jail with the fleecing of Americans to the tune of, as Fox News reported it, possibly $8 billion. If we have objection to that, can you imagine the objection they're going to give to everything else? I'm Tony Katz. Good Lord. Sorry, guys. I was busy explaining life to someone. So redistricting is going on here in Indiana, and someone wrote, it's a big day in Indiana when the New York Times and the Washington Post show up. That's not a big day in Indiana. A big day in Indiana is when IU beats Ohio State 13-10 to take the Big Ten championship. A big day in Indiana is the Sunday before Memorial Day. That's the Indy 500. The big day in Indiana is when you get the good cabana at Holiday World. Those are big days. The Washington Post and the New York Times show up. That's not a big day. That's a day that makes you wonder whether you should move. Good Lord. People are funny. Guys, glad you're here. What is going on? Good to be with you. January 24th is the big day. That is right. Trump, 1 year later, a red tie gala. So good, so good. Get your tickets right now. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. The bourbon, the food, the good times, the laughs. Put on your red tie. Get super fancy and join me January 24th, 2026. Trump, 1 year later, a red tie gala. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Get those tickets. Tell me when, producer Landon. Coming back to the radio show. So let's make that happen, shall we? We are not so far removed from the horror show that took place in Charlotte, the stabbing that took place on the light rail. This was how many months ago? 4 months ago, where Irina Zarutska was traveling on the light rail in Charlotte, and she was stabbed repeatedly by a black man. She's white, and I bring that up because if it was the other way around, we'd be told that this was a racial incident and a hate crime, and yet no one screams that. Just proving that hate crimes are nothing more than political tools and not anything anyone actually cares about. This is not that. This is different. This is a suspect now being charged in the stabbing on the light rail in Charlotte. 5 counts, including attempted first-degree murder, assault with deadly weapon, serious injury, and carrying a concealed weapon. The victim was a man, stabbed by another man. The man he was stabbed by? Well, that guy has been charged before. He's a native of Honduras, in the U.S. illegally, twice removed from the country. Now, when that happens, I believe that Mexico owes us $100 million. What? I could have said, and when that happens, I believe we take 22 square miles of Mexican territory. We just take it. We defy them. We say, we bet you your military can't do a damn thing about it, and we just take the land. We move everybody off of it. You don't live here anymore. We just take it. That's the price for allowing someone like that to traverse your country. Now, if they didn't traverse the country and they got in another way, Mexico didn't do anything wrong, we're fine. Twice deported. This will lead us to a story from the New York Times, where magically over the weekend, they said, people warned Biden that his soft on immigration approach wasn't working, but he didn't care. Where was this reporting in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024? You wait until December of 2025? You know what complicit means, New York Times? Whew. Hopefully this man will be okay. And this is a reason for ICE to do their job faster. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, and people are angry with ICE. People angry with immigrations and customs enforcement. So in Indiana, redistricting, the meeting has started, right? So I'm not going to know the results of the meeting and how it's going to vote. This is about whether or not redistricting gets out of committee. My current state of mind is yes, it will get out of committee. That's going to happen. The question is there something at play here to keep it from getting out of committee because they don't want to embarrass anybody with a vote? Me, I'm okay with embarrassing anybody and everybody with a vote. I'm super fine with it. I like every part of it. Me, I favor redistricting. So we're going to see what happens here. Right now, I don't know. Hold on. Minnesota was promised to us 3,000 years. I'm sorry, what? Am I missing something in this trolling? Minnesota was promised to whom 3,000 years ago? Who made the promise? Just curious. Just curious. Now, I'm going to bet any amount of money, guys, that this is some anti-Israel thing going on right here. Like, that's going to be the connectivity. Whew. Ever tell you how much I love this show? It's fantastic. What do we got? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about redistricting, and then later I've got 3 things to go over. I do have some other audio. I should get into that for sure. Let's see if I can get. Let's see if we can get that together. We'll share that. Beautiful. Beautiful. What else? Is there something else I should be talking about? Remind me to talk about. You know what? I'll do that here. No, I've got that there. I've got that there and that. So, and then there's Europe and free speech, which has some stuff I don't think I can share on air. I'm going to try and edit it during the. Maybe I'll send it to you, Producer Landon. Maybe you can edit it. All right. It's in the show sheet. It is in the show sheet. It's let me see which story it is. No, hold on, wait. Maybe it's not. I want that story as well. It was about the EU. Oh, taking on censorship of Europe. If you can do an audio edit of that, I would appreciate it, and then send it back to me. There's only 1 or 2 words that I could do on the live stream, but I don't really want to because I want the live stream still to work. Coming back.
For having me on. I think, frankly, what we're hearing is some smoke and mirrors. This idea that, the Secretary of War Crimes, as I've been calling him after these strikes and the revelations of this double tap, are trying to cover on OPSEC reasons that they can't release this video when numerous.
Let's stop listening to Alexander Vidman. So he's not the Secretary of War. He's the Secretary of War Crimes because of taking out these boats in the Caribbean. That is hilarious. You're the same guy who was upset with a phone call to Ukraine that was nothing, right? And what is this that I'm now hearing about Ukraine that Zelensky has not read the peace plan yet? That's what Trump was saying. That Zelensky hasn't read this thing. How is that even remotely possible? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I've got to have that somewhere in my big bunch. I don't know how it's possible that, oh no, here it is. Oh gosh, I do have it. Hold on a second. He was at the Kennedy Center honors, which by the way, they've redone the Kennedy Center. Trump did that as well. They were able to rework it. They've redone the money. They've got everybody showing up. Everybody's happy. I mean, it's Sylvester Stallone and it's Kiss and sorry, left. I know it upset you. By the way, I'm outrageously thrilled with this, because if this allows the right to understand what culture is and how you connect with it and how you have to be a participant in the arts and not hate everything, good, a plus. But this was President Trump. He's there with the First Lady, Melania Trump, talking about Zelensky and the peace deal.
And very powerful.
Mr. President, what's the next step in Russia-Ukraine talks? What's your next step in Russia-Ukraine talks after last week's negotiations?
So we've been speaking to President Putin, and we've been speaking to Ukrainian leaders, including President Zelensky. And I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that President Zelensky hasn't yet read the proposal. That was as of a few hours ago.
What the hell? Am I the only person who heard that and said, how is that even possible? He hasn't read it? Did he skim it? Are you telling me the guy hasn't gone to the bathroom once and he's like, I'm bored. I guess I'll read this peace proposal that keeps my people alive. How is that possible?
His people love it, but he hasn't. Russia's fine with it. Russia, I guess, would rather have the whole country when you think of it. But Russia is, I believe, fine with it. But I'm not sure that Zelensky is fine with it. His people love it. But he hasn't read it. So someday you'll explain that one to me, Jeff.
I'm not Jeff, but I can't explain it at all. There was a follow-up to this story. I wasn't able to find it. See if you can look for it, Producer Landon. About what it is that the Ukrainians are stealing, the amount of aid that's been stolen. I have gone over this many times. Yes, thanks, Producer Landon. Look for that. I've gone over this many times. I have supported from the beginning sending weapons and sending bullets to Ukraine. I do not believe you reward Russian aggression. No way. I did not support at the time any level of air assault or no-fly zone. I stand by that. I do not support any troops on the ground. I stand by that. I support if NATO nations want to be buying U.S. hardware and placing it in places to keep the Russians at bay, fine with that. Russia is the aggressor. Russia's the bad guy. And every other story is wrong. It's garbage. It was always garbage. Tucker's garbage was garbage. The rest of it was nonsense bullcrap. I never said that Zelensky's an angel and all the Ukrainian leadership come from on high. Never once, never ever. I said on this show, I have zero interest in paying for their pensions. I don't want to pay for retirements. I want to pay for bullets. Let the Ukrainians fight for their survival, and let us not be fools and reward Russian aggression. That's only bad for us. Let's make sure they've got the tools to fight this fight. They might lose, but you could take one of the bastards with you, which I think is a kind of a lost art philosophy. I think it's very important, and I'm willing to defend it. I support them trying to survive. I do not support providing any of the people. I don't support providing them with vacations or retirements or anything else. If they're stealing billions of dollars, and we've got a provable billions of dollars stolen, then you can get me you can absolutely get me to say, all right, we've done everything we can here. The problem is going to be, well, Tony, a lot of people are still going to die. Part of the problem that we have, and I think this is where, of course, part of the disgust is, they steal, and I'm told I have to be the good guy. They steal, and I have to continue to be supportive because some money does make it to where it's needed. We did buy another bullet, or we did help some kid. So therefore, I have to continue to be the good guy, and they can steal and nothing's going to happen. Going back to a story about a month ago at Politico, Ukrainian anti-corruption agencies revealing Monday some of Zelensky's close associates allegedly involved in a plot to skim about $100 million from the Ukrainian energy sector. Now, that's not it in its totality there, Producer Orlando, but there's an example. I'm not wrong when I say this is the thing that bothers Americans. We have to live by a standard that nobody else has to live by. And when they flaunt every bit of normalcy and decency, nothing ever happens to them. No one goes to jail. We just have to keep spending. That's an exhausting proposition. I put forth to you that is also where people get the very rational understanding of, these people are not as good as us. They're less than. And we're told that's awful and horrible and terrible. You are fighting for your survival. We're helping you survive, and you take our money? You steal from us? Ukrainians, the Somalian situation in Minneapolis. It's the same level of disgust and anger. I don't know exactly how angered President Trump is that he hasn't been able to achieve a peace here. Whether he's angry at Zelensky for not just giving up all the lands in the Donbass, Donetsk area, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, etc., all the way down to Crimea. I don't know if he's really angry at the Russians. What are you doing with all this killing? Your own people are dying. Are you really this blanking stupid? Because, that, of course, as we've discussed, is Trump's philosophy. 10,000%, the war doesn't make any sense to him. Why in the world would you have a war and kill each other when you can make some money and enjoy yourself? The whole thing is such anathema to him. Remember, Trump has it's one of the ways I know that Trump is not only not a warmonger, Trump doesn't have any desire for empire. It's not necessary. We have what we have, and we make money at what we have. Now, if we can make more money by getting Greenland, well, let's work out a deal for Greenland. Let's work out a deal. Not, hey, let's send our warships not to the Caribbean to deal with Venezuela, but let's send it to Greenland. Let the Russians see what they're going to do. By the way, to Denmark, this is ours now. That didn't happen. What deal could be made? Why? Because it better protects America. That I understand about the guy. War is just, it strikes him as the most peculiar thing because he doesn't really have any. Would it be weird if I said I don't think he has any tribalism about him? America first might be as much as he goes, but it doesn't involve any level of conquest. It should be much more about trade and deals and, fair and being able to use his leverage to get fair, etc. But at what moment does he say, you know what? I tried with you people. This is on you. We're out. If NATO wants to keep buying and Europe wants to keep buying our hardware, we'll keep selling it to them. We're making great money. We're done here. America, I've done everything I can. These two schmucks, they don't want peace. This guy won't stop fighting. This guy hasn't even read a peace deal. I'm out. Best of luck. That's a bad, bad place. But you know you could see him going there, right? You could see him doing it. I gave it everything I can. Yeah, you could argue it the other way. Tony, his ego requires him to get this done so he can say he can get it done. Remember, there are the two rules of Trumpism, coined right here by yours truly. The first rule of Trumpism is that Trump wins. The second rule of Trumpism is that a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. So we're not done with this yet. But Zelensky hasn't read it? I mean, that might be the craziest thing I've ever heard. And I've heard Sonny Hostin speak twice. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. Glad that you are here. Comments, welcome. Like this one, where Kenneth just screams, Tony. What? Let me just say, he's not the first person to scream my name. Really? Nothing? No? A little something for the effort? No? Okay. I'm pretty proud of that one. I don't know what you're all doing. So I do have the New York Times story. I do have the Tucker in Qatar story. Europe and free speech, which is a doozy of a story. I'll do that there. We never got to redistricting, so I will do that next. Indiana's a bit of ground zero right now. Thank you for the laugh, sir. I appreciate that. It is. What's it going to do about redistricting? Those meetings have started. Let us see. Let us see what happens. I'm trying to follow it. Is that right? So there's been this talk. You know what? I'll save it for the show. I was going to do it now, but I'm going to save it just a little bit for radio, and then we can chat about it. We can chat. We can talk. It's good. It is good. Don't forget to head on over to TonyKatz.com and subscribe if you would. I'd greatly appreciate that. Head on over there. My daily show sheet is up. Is it up yet? I don't know if it got posted yet. I will get that done for you so you can see the stories that we're talking about here. So if there's anything you're curious about, it is over there. Other videos and things go on for subscribers, and we're building out. Chat. What's everybody doing Wednesday night? That a good night for a live chat? Is that a good night for a live chat for everybody? Yeah, I think it'll be Wednesday night. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We will do a live Wednesday night live. It's like Saturday Night Live, but funny. No, they're funny. Not always. Only when they want to be, right? Producer Landon, when they're honest, they're funny. When they're political, they're sizzling hot garbage. So this is not the first time I've seen this story, and it's something I think you should keep an eye on. There is a report. I shouldn't say, I'll call it reporting, not a report, that we are about to see from House Republicans a whole bunch of retirements. Tony Katz today. Great to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. We touched on this lightly last week, where the morale amongst House Republicans, not great, because Trump doesn't help them. Trump's in the Trump business. I think we're going to find that Trump is not going, we are in a place where we could find that Trump is going to leave the RNC in the same shape that Obama left the DNC, and that's not good shape. That is not good shape. Who's going to have the lists? Who's going to have the power? Everything else. It is clear to me that Trump is interested in a level of dynasty for the kids, et cetera. I knew this was coming from word go. I got to deal with things as I deal with them. Obama did it. Obama tried to shape the Democratic Party in his image. He ruined them financially, then never left. And then what? Cost them the White House in 2024, him and Nancy Pelosi. You'll notice that there hasn't been much ceremony as of yet for Pelosi leaving. They'll do a dog and pony, and that'll be it, and they'll be glad she's gone. But Republicans, according to multiple sources, are not pleased. They are not happy with the amount of backup they're getting and other things. Is it possible that there are 20 Republicans saying, I don't need this anymore? There's a private sector job for $420,000 a year coming my way. Sounds good. You know what? It's time for me to go write my book. 20. How does that play out for a midterm? My gut reaction? Not well. There is a fair amount working against the Republicans going into these midterms. And more than anything, Trump needs an economic turnaround for this to get better. He needs inflation down. He needs dollars flowing in. He needs the price of milk and meat to go down. He needs to see some level of insurance betterment in pricing. All I know is my main radio employer. That's where I get my insurance through, and it's open enrollment. And there was an email today that basically said, hey, everybody, we know that you're quite literally having heart attacks over the new premiums, but life sucks. I mean, it wasn't that mean, but it's exactly what they were saying. It's brutal. It's brutalizing. This is what Americans are dealing with. Higher costs in everything. Now, the truth is it's not everything, but it's still enough things to make people say the costs are too high. And so that is job one in trying to win re-election. Keep the Republicans in the House and the Senate for the midterms. The retirements, if they come, just make it all that more difficult. But I think the question is why the retirements? I think it's a worthy conversation. And I question how much of it has to do with Trump or something else. I'm Tony Katz. I don't think it's wrong to ask the question. Some people think it's wrong. You can't question Trump. Question anything I want. So will you. You'll question anything you want, anytime you want, any way you want. Don't be ridiculous. So here's what we've got. We are in the radio break right now. And when we're in the radio break, we take the break right here. We've got more show to get to. We have got a bunch still to talk about, including Europe and free speech. Producer Landon is working on that audio right now. And then I've got three things that you have to be paying attention to or should be paying attention to. Three things that I noticed that are just downright peculiar. So I've got that for you as well. So take a break, smoke them if you got them. We will get back to the program in a little bit. Keep it here. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Glad I'm here. Glad you're here. Hour 2 is coming up. We are watching the redistricting fight in my beloved Indiana. That continues apace. A very weird thing about IT firms and Europe and free speech, along with 3 things that you need to know. Something new we're adding to the show. And I would appreciate it if there are things you think I'm not covering, unique things, weird things, odd things, worthy things, put them in the chat. Put them in the chat there. I'll take a look at it. It could be one of the 3 things that you should be paying attention to. Because there's a lot of stuff. Too much stuff going on. And we get very, very distracted. Not we. I don't mean you and me specifically. I mean those who are desperate to distract us from stories that may very well matter more. We got to get to those. So let me see where we are here. Oh, it's good that the protesters have showed up and they're opposed to redistricting. What they are really opposed to is not having anything to do at the home on a Monday afternoon. I mean, that's just it. So they argue against redistricting in Indiana by having the oldest white women possible to come and start screaming. That'll work. That's the answer. Tony Katz today. Great to be here. Great to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. This is my state. It's happening not too far from where I'm at. This redistricting conversation needs to get through the committee today. And if it does, then it will get to the full Senate. It's already passed the House. This is about taking the districts here. There are 9 congressional districts, 7 of them Republican, 2 Democrat, and redrawing the lines. And so it would ostensibly be 9 Republicans, no Democrats, like Massachusetts. And people are allegedly up in arms. I don't think they're as up in arms as other people do. Well, the state polling shows that no one's interested in redistricting. I don't think people have explained the conversation properly. Redistricting can be talked about in a couple of different ways. First, I wasn't interested in it when Texas did it. Texas wants to redistrict, and I said, oh, okay. Redistricting is the redrawing of congressional lines, which happens in state legislatures. And that was totally fine by me. It's a lawful process. Mid-decade is far more uncommon than it happening at the start of the decade. Remember, the census via the Constitution, that is a dictate. You will do a census every 10 years. Redistricting, there's nothing about that. You can redistrict every hour if you wanted to. There are no rules about that unless a state happens to have particular rules. That's up to the legislatures to do. They decide. I oppose the idea of independent commissions. You hear a lot about this. There's an independent commission that helps with the redistricting. That's not what independent commissions do. An independent commission is a way of keeping the people away from being able to engage their legislators about redistricting. They've already gerrymandered the bloody heck out of the place, and now they put in the independent commission to keep things where they are and keep the power structures where they are. And if the power structures were to change, well, they would quickly get rid of that independent commission and they'd change it again, because redistricting is a political conversation. You can't change the lines. That's not fair. What the hell does fairness have to do with a political conversation? Honestly. There are so many children running around having this conversation about fairness. Silly little children. And I'm talking about those women and those elderly right now at the Indiana State Capitol screaming about fairness. You look ridiculous. No, wait, you are ridiculous. And if you say to me, how dare you, I'm the one stating that there's nothing illegal about this and fairness doesn't come into play. Why don't you try an argument that matters? Why don't you try an argument that at the very least is legitimate? Because those arguments are illegitimate. Those arguments are emotional pablum, and I will not fall for that, just like I do not fall for a child's tantrum. I'm a grown-up. Why not try talking to me like a grown-up? Why can't we engage this like grown-ups? The signs read, Hoosiers play fair. MAGA, no means no. Dear Lord. And then no midterm redistricts, keep maps sensible. And they spelled it wrong on purpose. It was very odd. And finally, no taxation without representation. Okay. Nothing. Oh my gosh. Nothing about the current map in Indiana or any other state is fair. Absolutely nothing. It was drawn at the pleasure of the party in power, and that's that. You still have representation. You are not disenfranchised if a district changes shape. You're not. It's a lie. And we should tell everybody out there right now protesting that if they're saying that you're going to lose representation, that's a lie and you're a liar. I do not care how old or young, male or female, rich or poor. It doesn't matter. If you say that people are going to lose their representation, that's a lie. If we're not going to be honest about these things, we're not going to get anything done. Why do I favor redistricting? Let's talk about a philosophy. I favor redistricting because the Democratic Party will look at the fraud, waste, and abuse to the tune of possibly billions in Minneapolis, and they'll say, well, we can't do anything about this. That would be racist against people who are Somali, even though it wasn't just people who are Somalian who are involved in this. That's a reason to redistrict, because any party that thinks like that can't be allowed to be in charge of my country. Any party that thinks it's okay to shut down the government so they can get subsidies to pay for Obamacare, which was a lie told to the American people by the Democratic Party. So people who are told that they pay less for health insurance are now paying more for health insurance, can pay even less for health insurance while the American people pay more overall. You can't be in charge of a country because the Democratic Party thinks that it's okay to tell little boys they can be girls and it's okay to mutilate yourself via chemicals and surgery. You're not allowed to run a country. Let me say it better in a way that's maybe more understandable. In the words of Barack Obama, we won. And redistricting is a lawful process. So what's the problem? You have proven yourself outrageously unworthy and a danger. You're a danger to children. You're a danger to adults. You're a danger to Western civilization. Now, you want to debate me on this? Go right ahead. You would debate me on the topic that I have just discussed, which makes no bones about the fact that this is 10,000% about power. I'm the only person being honest about it in the state of Indiana. Everybody else is just a blabbering freak show. It's about power. And Republicans have it, and Democrats don't. And if Democrats had it, I don't have to guess. I've already seen what they do. I have seen it. I have witnessed it. I quoted the guy who laid out the blueprint about it, Barack Obama. We won. Well, he said it as I won. And therefore he could do what he wanted. No one's breaking the law. If you say someone's breaking the law, it's a lie. We should call you a liar. We should laugh at you. And we should move on with our day. Now, if you want to argue my points, as you said, that's fine. Or as I said, if you want to argue them, that's fine. Go about arguing my points and we can discuss this. But the idea of it's not fair, the idea that it's cheating, the idea nobody wants this, all trash. They're ridiculous, garbage, foolish, ignorant, and altogether dumb arguments. And of course, I think that because they're emotional arguments, and that never moves me. An interesting argument that's out there is that when you take a look at the map that Indiana has drawn, the map might put agricultural communities at a disadvantage because the capital of Indiana, Indianapolis, is in a place called Marion County. And Marion County in this new map is actually now 4 districts. No, not just the one county, but everything comes into the county. So the county was broken up into 4 districts. This ostensibly to move out Andre Carson, a congressman, Democrat. He should be moved out because he's disgusting. His support of Ilhan Omar, his support of Rashida Tlaib, his friendship with Louis Farrakhan, gross. A man who is a very poor judge of character. I will not miss him when he's done with the grift of just sitting in his grandmother's seat. Julia Carson was the member of Congress, his grandmother, and then he took over. It's a family business. I'm not a fan of family business. Like in Tucson, it was Raul Grijalva, and now it's Adelita Grijalva. It's a family thing. It's very messed up. Very messed up indeed. So, the idea that this map might be harmful to ag communities is at least a discussion and argument and worthy of talking about. And you know how many people have been talking about this? Zero. I favor redistricting, and I bring it up. So what's going to happen? Well, the conversation is in committee right now. And the committee is going to have to decide whether or not they vote this out of committee. And that's not possible. No, that's the Senate. Is that the committee? Because the Indiana Senate has adjourned. Did they adjourn while I was talking? Is that because the crowds were creating too much noise and they couldn't talk? Oh, getting nuttier and nuttier by the second. I've made my argument for redistricting. I make no bones about it. I'm not shy about it. It's an honest discussion of where the issue is, why I favor it, and yes, I recognize it's about power. The people who scream, well, it's just a power grab. Yeah. Yes, it is. All politics is a power grab. So now that we've had this conversation, let us put this to bed and let's see what happens. Let us see where they go. The White House is following this. We're going to follow it. It seems that we might not get any more movement today, but we'll see what happens with that committee, and I'll bring you the updates. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. There it is. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Troll, to answer the question, I do have that on my schedule for the morning show tomorrow to discuss, because the story has certainly taken a turn. I don't know if that implicates the lieutenant governor in that way. I may not like the man, but that's different. That is very, 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 very different. So here we are. Very, very good. And we're coming back to the show. So 3 things you should be paying attention to. I have got that story right now. Decided to change things around and add it as a feature of the show. 3 things. Could have been 5 things. I made it 3. Could be 4. But I've got at least 3. If I add more, no one's going to judge me, I don't think. We're evolving, people. Sponsorship's now available. When do we come back to the show there, producer Landon? All right, we can all wait out to 10 seconds. We can do it together. Three things you need to be paying attention to. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Tucker Carlson is going to move to Qatar. No, I don't know if he's moving, but he's going to buy a house there. And he's like, I'm an American. I do what I want. Listen, Tucker. Nobody understands what's going on with you. You sound like a crazy person. No one said that you can't buy a home in Qatar or Qatar, Qatar. But your love affair with Qatar and going to this symposium in Doha and doing interviews and more pushback on Ted Cruz than on Nick Fuentes and the terrorism possibly funded by the royals there in Qatar, and we're not supposed to notice? And then Tucker fans will get all crazy. Why is everybody so obsessed with Tucker Carlson? Why is Ted Cruz so obsessed? Good Lord. I'll say anything about anyone I want anytime I want. You see, Tucker, I also am an American. I did reach out to Tucker for an interview, and I thought I had the proper email and things like that. I didn't. It got bounced back to me. No one said you can't, although I didn't know you could, because I don't know the rules of Qatar and whether they allow people from the United States to own property there. I don't know what those rules are. But, man, that's weird. It's weird to want to move to a spot where the real question of their support of terrorism lingers. And I think we all kind of know the answers. That's Tucker. Explain his politics? I can't. When he interviewed Vladimir Putin, I'm like, okay, if I had the opportunity to do it, I would do it too. When he told me that Russian grocery stores were better than U.S. grocery stores, okay, sit down. You sound like a crazy person. You are a crazy person. Plain and simple. Then there is, as broke last week, the arrest of the January 6th pipe bomber. These pipe bombs were allegedly put down on January 5th in front of the RNC and the DNC, and the FBI said, we don't know who did this, and hey, who left their cocaine in the White House? Nobody knew anything. Hunter left his cocaine in the White House. That's my bet. If there are odds on Polymarket, could someone find it for me? What are the odds? Are we still guessing as to whose coke that was? Who planted these bombs? No one knew. And then here come Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, the director of the FBI and the deputy director of the FBI, saying, we've got a guy. a younger black man. That's who planted these bombs. And then came all the conversation about, oh, well, this guy's a Trump supporter. Oh yeah, a Trump supporter. Oh, he thought the 2020 election was rigged, and that's why he did it. The left so desperate to make all of this fit their narrative, they didn't care what they said. So all this talk of, well, this guy was a Trump supporter, well, just anonymous sources, as you know. Oh, we're not 100% sure. The family leans left. The father has a bail bonds business. They hired Ben Crump, who's a progressive attorney who does all of these cases where he wants to be able to scream racism. That's how he made his money. And they engaged a lawsuit going after the Trump administration for immigration policies. That's the family that he is a part of. And he is the one alleged, remember, innocent until proven guilty, to have planted these pipe bombs. So the left, instead of saying, hey, what's the story here? They said, hey, how do we manipulate the story? How do we change the story so it fits our narrative? Because what's more important than the narrative? News? News. That's funny. News is what we tell people it is. All of a sudden you realize 1984 is a really good book. And the idea of something being memory hold. Very real. That brings us to story number 3. Story number 3 was a weird post by a guy I don't know. Aaron Sabarium, who's over there at Free Beacon. I don't know Aaron. But I like Free Beacon. I'm like, okay, I'm reading. Many IT firms, meaning internet technology firms, are internet technology, or is it information technology? Sorry, I said internet technology, information technology. They are posting job ads that unlawfully bar applicants from U.S. citizens. I'm sorry. They bar job applications from U.S. citizens, and they posted something, the React training program, designed for individuals looking to enhance their skills in web development through hands-on experience and comprehensive training. You must have 5 to 6 years of experience. Need candidates looking to take a training program on React. Need a bachelor's before 2015. No U.S. citizens. I'm sorry, no U.S. citizens. What in the world is that? And then it continues one after another with jobs that are available in IT, not to U.S. citizens. If you have an H-1B, yes. If you're an American citizen, no. What is happening here? Now, for President Trump, before you get over your skis, sir, I can appreciate that you believe we have to have people who know how to run certain systems to be able to train our people to run those systems so they can be American jobs. But the idea that we don't have people who can do these jobs is nuts. And if indeed you're hiring at a location in Chicago that says no U.S. citizen, well, we can't have this. And I put forth to you that those companies can't be allowed to work here. That reporting from the Washington Free Beacon, 3 stories you needed to know. Follow me for more at Tony Katz on Twitter X. This is Tony Katz Today. Excellent, and good. Are we doing Yakov Smirnoff jokes now, guys? Hold on, let's find out how old I am. Hey, producer Landon, do you know who Yakov Smirnoff is? No clue. He's like, absolutely no clue. That is precious right there. Almost lit my eyebrows on fire, which for me is not tough because those things are huge. Now, you never met my father, rest his soul. I took one look at my father and said, I'm going to trim these if that's all right. They weren't just big. They had lives of their own. One of them had a blog. They were just so everywhere on that man's head. Good gosh. Good Lord, indeed. So yeah, I did almost set him on fire. Let's see where we are with all right, nothing else. Okay. Good, and good. So, no, Father Guido Sarducci was Saturday Night Live. And Father Guido Sarducci's best routine was be your own pope. You could buy a whole kit to be your own pope, which I will admit, my brother, the good Dr. Katz, and I, to this day, still talk about. That was Father Guido Sarducci. So I've got this story here. Let me grab that. There's that. No. There's that, and there we go. Now, Dr. Vinny Boombots was the doctor for Rodney Dangerfield. I could do this all day. You think you could stump me? Me? And when I'm done covering all this, I'm going to take your mother out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. People should be aware that we are going to come to a very, very strong confrontation with Europe over speech. And we should be very, very clear that Europe, the whole of Europe, not just the European Union, which I also favor breaking up, Europe does not believe in free speech. They just don't. We see polling here in the United States where younger generations think that language can be seen as violence. I put forth to you that as long as you're not saying, hey, let's go beat up that guy, as long as no one's saying, hey, let's beat up me, you could say any gosh awful thing you choose. It's the only way I know I'm free. Tony Katz today. Great to be here. Great to be with you. Find everything I do over at Tony Katz. .com. You should check that out for yourself. Everything over there brought to you by Von Riest. Timepieces you're going to love for you and the family, for the generations. RIESTE, vonriest.com. Use my last name, Katz. Get yourself the discount. Assembled in Indiana. Beautiful timepieces. I'm wearing one right now. People being able to say things about me, really gross things about me, really dopey things about me. It's the only way I know I'm free. And not just about me, well, about anything. It's the only way I know that we're all still here. You know how I know Trump is not a dictator? All of a sudden I'm cribbing 40-year-old virgin. You know how I know you're not a dictator? Because I can still say anything I want about you and I don't go to jail. You know how I know you're not a dictator? Because I could tell jokes about your mom being fat. Like, it could go on for forever. That's how I know Trump's not a dictator. It's one of the reasons. Me being able to do this show is how I know we're free. It's people being able to say horrifying things. Free speech does not exist for the speech that you love or the people that you love. It exists for the speech and the people that you hate. Because they hate you. And do we think for a moment that these people should be allowed to have a say in what you say? The answer is, of course not. It is why on any college campus, if students think that they're tough or they're in charge and try and stop people from speaking, they should be met with force so they are stopped. The biggest fault of our university system today is that they actually think the students have a point. The students are there to learn. And part of what they have to learn is how to accept the fact that someone might hurt their feelings. No one cares. No one cares. Men are not women and women are not men. If that hurts somebody's feelings, oh well. No one's forcing you to listen, but I'm not going to be told to lie to myself or lie to others. Women on the main are not as strong as men. If that insults women at Name the University, well, that's your problem. Men can't have babies. If that insults any man, well, that's too bad for you, but those are the facts, and they are never, ever, ever going to change. There is no such thing as a birthing person who isn't a woman. They're all women. Only women are birthing people. No men have ever given birth to anything except to really bad ideas, like saying things like birthing people. That's how I know I'm free. I know I'm free because a ridiculous bigot like Louis Farrakhan can still speak out there. And he's a disgusting human being. It's the only way I know I'm free. It's the only way any of us actually know that we are free. What brings this up? I talk about Europe. Because there was a very interesting video that was put out by the Undersecretary of State, Sarah Rogers, and I'm not familiar with Sarah Rogers. But Sarah Rogers was responding to a post from a member of the European Parliament, Helmut Brandstatter. By the way, with a name like Helmut Brandstatter, this is a guy who once tried to overtake a country. That with that name, that's what happened. That's all I'm saying. He is an alum of the University of Vienna and John Hopkins something or other. I don't even know what that is, so I don't want to read it because I'm not 100% sure. He is the spokesperson for foreign policy with an organization, and he posted on the Twitter X a message to Piggyland. Now, this has to do with Donald Trump referring to a reporter as Piggy, and everybody's taken this. The amount of times I got called Piggy on social media until I realized what the heck was happening. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And that's what it's from. J.D. Vance had stated, rumors swirling that the EU Commission will fine X, meaning Twitter, hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. The EU should be supporting free speech, not attacking American companies over garbage. This is where it's going to come to a head. We don't care what you do. You can't tell us how to talk. and you can't fine our companies. No, it doesn't work that way. So Helmut Bronstatter, I think I'm pronouncing it right, writes a message to Piggyland. Can you believe that these are the adults allegedly? This is, oh, don't worry, I put Trump in that category. This is all crazed. There is no censorship in Europe, and everybody has to follow our rules. Trump fights the free press, suing newspapers and TV stations, so leave us alone. He doesn't fight the free press. He notices when they lie like dogs and then says, you can't do that. I mean, that's what's happening. There's no just random lawsuit taking place. But there's no censorship in Europe. This brings us back to the undersecretary. Now, I had to do an edit here because as she's explaining what's happening, she uses language that, while I would have no problem playing in context, could be a problem for my stations. So I err on the side of them in engaging the bleeping out of the word, which was a derogatory term for gay people. So that was it. And she's not calling anybody this name. She is talking about a case that took place as she sits in her hotel room and says, you know, I'm on a diplomatic passport, so I can speak freely. And she does.
I got off my European train and checked into my European hotel and noticed that a member of European Parliament called Helmut Bronstetter tweeted, quote, "There's no censorship in Europe. Everyone has to follow our rules." Well, I'm traveling here on a diplomatic passport, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to say a few things that ordinary Europeans can't by revisiting some remarks for which people in Europe and also the UK have been investigated or arrested or jailed by their governments over the past few years. So,
investigated, arrested, or jailed. I mean, that's something else. For making statements. Such as?
So, as I tweeted a few moments ago, a German woman notoriously received a harsher jail sentence than a convicted rapist after the woman called the rapist, quote, a disgraceful pig.
He rapes. She calls him a pig. She gets the harsher jail sentence. Now, that society works for you. I don't want to call you out, but let's say you. If that society works for you, well, you don't quite understand how to run a society. Oh, and you hate women. If you think being called a pig is more offensive than violently inserting yourself into the female body, oh, I'm sorry, were we not talking about what it is we're talking about? We going to pretend? I'm sure there are other shows out there where they pretend. I'm not one of those people. That's a diseased society. But Secretary Rogers continues.
This was after he participated, along with several other disgraceful pigs, in the gang rape of a 15-year-old girl in a public park. Similarly, a British woman was dragged out of her bath by 11 police officers after she referred in a private text message to a man who allegedly violently assaulted her as, quote, a f***. And victims of violent crime aren't the only people who lack free speech rights in Europe.
In both these cases, she's discussing a verbal response to the most violent of acts. A 15-year-old. And they go to jail and they are met with derision. Stop telling me that Europe is anywhere close to equal to the United States. That dog won't hunt. They're not okay.
Sweden, an activist called Rasmus Paludan was jailed after he burned a Quran and referred to Islam as gay Islam. Finally, in Germany, a man faced a criminal investigation for referring to Green Party leader Ricarda Lang as, quote, fat.
First, if you could go to jail for calling someone fat, Trump would have multiple sentences just based on Rosie O'Donnell alone. Secondly, I don't favor lighting things on fire. But you can in the United States. I don't think you should. People who burn Bibles, the American flag, all that stuff, it doesn't move me. There's a difference between us and them. There's a real difference. And there is a real censorship issue at play.
There are many more. I could go on. But it's important to note that the European censorship bureaucracy often postures as populist, fighting against big tech. Yet none of the people I listed as a large tech company. These are ordinary Europeans and one Brit who were punished by their governments for saying what they thought was true, or just what they felt like saying. In a free society, that shouldn't happen. So which is it, Mr. Bronstetter? Is there no censorship in Europe, or do we all have to follow your rules?
There is censorship in Europe, and we all have to follow his rules. Secretary Rogers, I'm glad I could answer that for you. This is Europe. And that's exactly the kind of thing that you'll see people wanting to bring to the U.S. That's why that's why these polls that you see about college campuses, where they less and less believe in free speech, is so dangerous. And the first way to stop this is to stop sending your kids to those college campuses. Just stop. I don't care if they're in year 2. I don't care where they are in their degree cycle. These universities are not worth your money. They're destroying your kids. Stop. Stand up and say no. And to the universities, the students attend because they have to learn. And some of them don't know how to be normal, and some of them don't believe in free speech, and some of them don't believe in actual classical liberalism. And it's your job to teach them. And if you hired a bunch of professors who don't believe in classical liberalism, but believe in thought policing and policing of words, well, you're going to end up with a lot of garbage students who will eventually come for you, your university, and your job. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is to stand up. The hard way is to live like Europeans do. No thanks. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. What is going on? What is going down? Every Monday through Friday, starting at noon. Be sure to subscribe there on YouTube as well, as we're getting aggressive. So here's what I have found about YouTube and speaking of censorship. I have never had a problem with the live stream. Right? There have been moments where they've said, we won't monetize this because if I use an audio clip of music or something, hey, that belongs to somebody else. And sometimes they do sharing and sometimes they don't. I was like, okay, well, that's on me, right? I'm the one putting that in there. I get it. What has been interesting is that I've been looking at how one engages promotion of content. And I'm like, I want to try this. I want to try that. What can I do to, what would work? What can I test? And I went about testing some, and I tested a piece. Let me see if I can find it for you. I tested a video that was entitled, Targeted for Supporting Israel, but America is the Next Target. It was a video that I put out months ago. I'm like, I'm going to try this. And they came back and said, nope, you can't promote this. Well, why can't I promote it? Because it's the issue is that the content could be seen as electioneering. And I was like, I don't understand how this is remotely possible. What in the world is the I don't talk about, at least I don't think about, hey, you should vote for this person or vote for that person. Yeah, political content and election advertising. Well, wait a second. Political content could be, I can apply that in a million different places. Google Ads policies state that any content featuring a public office holder, verbal mention or image will qualify as an election ad. Well, there's like 3/4 of the content. If I mention Trump, that's an election ad? That was fast. Now, that might not be demonetized, but it means it can't be promoted. So I'm learning. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So now I'm going to try a piece, not right now, but there I just mentioned Kamala Harris. I'm going to see if the same thing happens. We're going to test the system for sure. Meanwhile, subscribe on YouTube if you would, youtube.com/Tony Katz. Make that happen. Let's do it there, producer Landon. So have we heard about this ridiculous Cinnabon story? Which is a shame because who doesn't love Cinnabon? Tony Katz today. Here's the story in the quick. It's Minneapolis, or it's Minnesota, I should say. And a couple comes in, and they are from Somalia. That's how I know the story. And they come in, and they start shooting video of this woman. And she's like, why are you recording me? And the woman behind the counter, who's a white woman, starts talking about how she is a racist and N-word this and N-word that. Again, I do that on, in favor of my stations not getting your emails. This woman got fired from Cinnabon, and then somebody set up a GoFundMe, and at last check, it made like $60,000. Okay. First things first. The couple that came in was looking for a fight, looking for a problem, was talking about the way she was dressed, which was just fine. Now, according to your religious precepts, what she's wearing might not be acceptable. Who gives a damn about your religious precepts? Don't say a word. Walk in and get the cinnamon bun. But you weren't there for the cinnamon bun. You were there to cause a problem and hopefully get something to go viral, and this woman obliged. The couple's gross. This woman's response isn't something you're supposed to cheer. It's too stupid for words. It's stupid. N-word this and N-word that. Okay, Michael Richards, whatever you want. It's dumb. She doesn't deserve a GoFundMe. Of course she got fired. She deserved to get fired. Everybody involved with this is, wait for it, stupid. Dumb. They went looking for a problem and somebody obliged. They weren't offended. They weren't hurt. They wanted this. Look at how we're being treated. Ta-da! I swear to you, if the whole thing was an act on Saturday Night Live, I'd believe it. Nobody in this looks good. Everybody in this is a moron. people gave to this woman? Well, wait, I take it back. I guess I didn't look soon enough. It's close to $100,000. People gave this woman $100,000? Clearly, I need a GoFundMe. But I'm not that crazy, so I'm not going to get paid. Stinks. I'm Tony Katz. People are sometimes out of their heads. Just out of their heads, nuts. Get your tickets right now. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump, 1 year later, a red tie gala, the bourbon, the food, the laughs. We're going to take a look at Trump's last year, his first year in office, and then how this is going to play out for the midterms, downtown Indianapolis. It's going to be spectacular. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now. Make that happen. Guys, because it is December, I do have some vacation scheduled. And it's kind of weird because I didn't want to take like 2 weeks off in a row. So I kind of broke it up into some spots. What that? Oh, that's a shadow. Oh, God, I thought I just got something on my shirt. It was to be like, what in the world? You should know that these are the kinds of things. Basically, squirrel is what just happened there. So I will have some days off here and there. The radio show, of course, continues. But I'm back tomorrow at noon. You should join me then. Subscribe on YouTube. Get to the YouTubes and subscribe. And then go to TonyKatz.com and subscribe over there as well. Get all the videos. Get everything. Appreciate you guys so very much for being here. The radio show continues at WIBC.com. And look at that. Wait, not that right there. That. Beth will be there. If you show up January 24th, you will get to meet Beth. I've never met Beth, but she's going to be there. According to Beth, she will be there January 24th. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Look at that. I'm there with Tony. Let's see. Boom. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump, 1 year later, a red tie gala. It's going to be sensational. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Appreciate you guys very much. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you tomorrow. Take care.